We're live.
Hey, right, guys. Welcome to our final live show of the year. To make this live show special, we decided to do a most hyped book of the year, in which we did a poll on our Twitter to determine what the most hyped books you thought were. First, we asked you that, and then we went and we narrowed it down to what you guys were saying, and we had you vote. And the book that won the most hyped book of the year is what we're talking about tonight. Does someone want to introduce it?
Katie.
We are talking about Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which is probably, again, one of the most hyped books of the year, which is why we chose it. So this is a book about America's first son, Alex Claremont Diaz, who is the president's son, and basically there's like a scandal because he and Prince Henry of Britain get into a little accident at a wedding, at the royal wedding, and it causes international uproar. So then they are forced to like be seen being friends, and so that there's not like an international scandal, and things escalate from there into a romance.
Yeah, that was a good spoiler-free like version of it. Look at you.
I mean, I think most people know that this is like a romance, but
yeah.
And
that's the thing too, is that this book is marketed so towards the like hate to love trope. And that was why I picked it up originally, was the fact that you know that they hate each other from the get-go, and that like Alex and Henry are like weird sort of international enemies that are being forced to hang out with each other. So I like, should we give our spoiler-free thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, no, I'm not going to tell you what I rated it. We'd tell you everyone that at the end. But I really enjoyed this. It's been a bit since I've read it. I read it back in June when it was like super hyped. It just came out, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll like join in the bandwagon. And I have to say, it hasn't lasted the test of time. There was a lot I did forget about this novel just because I read so much, and there was so many great things that came out. But it did give me, like, I still have such positive emotions towards it in the long run. So my spoiler-free thoughts is that it's a very good book, and I would recommend it to everyone. And I do think that it was a very important book for this year particularly, too, just with the, like, of course, the male-on-male romance and the woman president and the, is it a Mexican president as well, too? I think that's like a whole rounded was perfect for 2019.
All right. So I really like this book. I'm going to say that from the beginning because I read it when I feel like I've been in a slump this whole year. It's been really bad, but I wasn't able to read anything. And most of the time, if I pick up like a very like cheesy, like YA fantasy, I get out of it, but nothing was working. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go way out of my comfort zone with like a little bit that I like. And like Majelle mentioned, it was the love to hate trope. I listened to the audiobook and I freaking loved it. I love everything that it touches on, and it felt so close to me because I'm Hispanic and one of the main characters is Hispanic, and they deal a lot with that like big family drama and like all the issues that it dealt with. I feel like it did it in a very healthy way, and it taught me things. And yeah, I very much enjoyed it. And I feel like if you want to learn a little bit more about the LGBT community, you should read this. And if you just want to read something really fun that's going to make you blush, then read it.
I kind of feel a lot of the same. I really, really liked it. I thought it was so cute. It's definitely so far from anything I would pick up because I generally just like don't pick up like contemporaries or like rom-coms kind of thing. They're just like, I just never pick them up, and that's not to say they're good or bad. It's just, I like fantasy and stuff, but I thought it was so cute. It totally made me blush like so many times. And I genuinely laughed a lot while reading this book, which is like probably one of my favorite parts about the book was the fact that it made me like laugh. I thought it was so witty and so fun. There are a lot of moments that I don't remember. I read it back in July. I think late July. There are a lot of moments I don't remember, but like the key ones I do remember, and they felt really important to me. And I liked it. It's not like it definitely wasn't like one of my favorite reads of the year, but I do think it was a good book.
Yeah, so I actually read this when I was on vacation in Punta Cana. So like it was perfect to read on the beach. I think like when did it come out? Like June was the perfect release time for this book because it is very much like a summer comedy rom-com. And I think that like a rom-com is actually like good and has more meaning when it's like this cute romance with like more underneath it. Because I definitely have read like a lot of just like smut romance novels that I'm like, oh, that was cute, but like, what is the actual lasting impact? And I think that it like has a lot of other things that it talks about, such as like with Alex's inner struggles, and also the fact that we're living in this alternate reality of a woman president, and also like the other side characters, Nora and what was the other one's name?
I completely forget.
God, are we all forgetting the name? Like those side characters all had like pretty well fleshed out stories too. Like it just felt like a very fully realized story, and it like made me laugh and made me like blush, and I just thought it was so cute. But it also really made me think, which is I think like a key for me in like reading a contemporary romance, to take it from like something that I read just for like the smutty moments to something that I like genuinely enjoy and like feel like has a lasting impact.
Yeah, for sure. So if anyone is here watching this right now and doesn't want to hear spoilers, now is the time to leave because we're totally going to get into spoilers. So I hope you appreciated that section, but now we are going to get all up in this and talk about everything. First, we're going to talk about the world that it's in. And I have to say that the world that it's in is like the ideal world. It's like the only thing that's different in between. Well, I mean, yeah, the main thing that's different in between our world and like the world in this book is the fact that like Trump wasn't elected, and then it was this like beautiful woman instead, and like it's all about like her like son. I just adore that. So the world is like,
yeah, she was like a single mother who was like divorced, and she like she wasn't was she biracial, or was it just the son?
No, the husband.
The ex-husband was
Mexican. Alex is Mexican American.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and like the fact that it was like a biracial family, and then of course we have like so much talk about sexuality and like how Alex comes to realize that he's bisexual, and then we also have like Henry, who is in this like British royal family that's like so stiff, and like obviously there hasn't been in the history of like ever a royal family member that came out as LGBT. So like that was also pretty cool to see in this novel, but also just to see like how it like the differences in the culture between like US and Britain, like how it was like portrayed and how like each character felt throughout their relationship.
Yeah, and I think it was portrayed so realistically in that way too. Like I think that if this scenario was real, like that's almost exactly how it would play out.
Yeah, I agree. Like public relations and stuff like that, it did seem like very realistic. Like I don't really know anything about like the world of like politics when it actually comes to like what goes on in the White House, but I did watch Scandal, and I loved Scandal. Like that's like my only knowledge of what, and I feel like just the little bit I know from that fantasy kind of show. I mean, it's not fantasy, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the way, like, the public relations, and, like, just, like, the way, like, those things played out, it felt really realistic. Like, so true to reality.
Yeah. And another thing, too, is that they used, like, texting a lot and, like, different, like, technology kind of thing to make it, like, our time. Like, the election was 2020. That was about this book. And sometimes when books do that, I feel so cringy and so awkward, and I absolutely hate it. And they did it in such a great way that it only enhanced the novel and like made so much sense for the plot too.
If you think about it, like especially with all of us being on the internet and making internet friends, like texting is our main mode of communication most of the time. Like it's text, not talking. So like it would make sense if they live across the sea from each other that they would be texting. And so like it would be unrealistic to not have it in the novel, but you also have to put it in a way that it's believable. Because if not, yeah. And this was like weird and cringe. But I agree, it was done well.
I also like how they kind of like pulled from with the whole email thing.
Yes,
if you
exactly.
guys know like American stuff, politics with Hillary, like her emails got leaked and Alex's emails got leaked. It was like, oh, I see what you're doing there. I like that. Very 2019.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It was so relevant. And even the sayings and stuff too. Like, I wonder how well this book will age with time.
Oh, definitely. That's the thing. I really like this book, but I feel like if I read it 10 years from now, definitely everything's going to change. I don't think it would translate as well, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think it would be
romance would be enjoyable, but like who knows where we're going to be in 10 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, so you want to talk about characters then?
Hell yeah.
I mean, this is such a character-driven book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's like funny how, well, especially like being in Alex's head most of the book, like you really see how he struggles with like coming to realize that he likes both men and women, and like through his relationship with Henry, I really just feel like we see him grow a lot, and like he realizes like a lot of things about like his position in the White House and like what he can do with it, but also like as a person.
I agree. I really liked it how like it showed that he like, I feel like it's like complicated because I feel like some books make it seem like, oh, you know from birth, like you know you're gay, but some people like depending where you grow up, you can like internalize it, and for him it felt like he internalized it, and like he did many things throughout his life that it was like kind of pointing to the fact like, hey, you don't only like women, you like men, and he was kind of like pushing it aside like, no, I'm so straight. And then it felt throughout the book, like obviously the beginning part, like us the reader, like we know, and we're trying to be like, no, like you're not just straight, like you like this guy, but he's like, no, I hate him. And I really like that because it felt different.
Yeah.
So I love their flirting. I'm looking now at like some of their emails and like the way that they flirt with each other is like so funny. Like His Royal Highness Prince Henry of whatever, Alex, first son of off-brand England. Like it's just so like it's such like millennial humor.
Yeah.
And it like really like clicks with. It's like very topical. Like that's why I think a lot of people like in the YA like adult kind of, I guess, age group really clicked with it.
Yeah,
I put the same thing in my review. I was like, clearly, like the author is in tune with like millennial Twitter humor, because like it was just so funny and relatable. It wasn't like some old like white dude writing a story and trying to make it funny. Like it really made you laugh at times, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. And like not only that too, but the side characters were like all realized characters too. Like they all played an important role. And then the dynamic between the friends too, and like the whole friend group. Felt like I was there hanging out with them as like a friend group too.
Yeah, like I feel like it started out very lighthearted and then things kind of like got serious towards the end where like you find out about whatchamacallit, like Bea had like her whole like drug scandal for like the royal family, and then like you know the emails get leaked, and that's just like you're so attached to Henry and Alex and you want the best for them at that point, and then it's like you're just like, oh no, like what are they gonna do?
Yeah. For a second when all of that was happening, I was reading the book and I was like, oh, this is the kind of book that's going to have a happy ending. Like, that's how I felt. And then all of that was happening. I was like, oh God, they're like,
oh no,
be together. Like, I was so afraid.
Like, what if this book was only hyped because it was like the Titanic, like good because it like hurt you kind of thing. We ready to talk about plot then? I mean, I think like we've been talking about plot a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that it was a really like well-structured thing. The one thing, and the reason why I couldn't rate this a complete like 5 stars, is because I did feel like there was a lot of different things and there was a lot of different moments. And when I'm like looking back on it, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm trying to think what happened, but I feel like over the 400 pages of this book, like there might have been the overarching story, but there was a lot of little like things that were going on and different like the story felt like it was fluid and really changed a lot with it as it went on.
I agree. I feel like that's why for me, like I read it like 2 months ago, I believe, and it makes it hard to like remember like the little things, like people's names and all that. Because I've read other books also in like the same genre, but like I actually liked it that there was a lot going on because, like I said, it was an audiobook, and it just kept me engaged. Like there was no lull of like, we're happy now, everything is happy, this is so exciting. It was like still up and down, like, yeah, they were happy, but like you had this going on here and this going on here, and then the election, and I was like crying.
Yeah, because like the thing with like fantasy versus contemporary is like a lot of that like downtime where you're not doing like plot stuff or character stuff is spent like world building, right? But like if you don't really have a world to build in contemporaries, then that's sometimes to me why I like walk away from them or don't read them a lot of the times, because I don't feel like they have enough. So I can see like where you're coming from, where maybe it was like too much, but I felt like I was like always entertained by it.
Yeah.
I felt there were some lulls, but I think that just has more to do with like I just don't like care too much about like the inner workings of politics, you know what I mean? Like so like when it came to talking about that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, like for instance, the whole last chapter, I was like, or is it, I can't remember if it's the last chapter or the epilogue, but it's like literally like just when she wins the re-election, I was like, I just like it's like I'm really happy for her. I wanted to, but I also just didn't care so much because all the other stories were wrapped up, and I was just like, I kind like, I'm kind of
I cried
like
at that part.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh my God.
I don't know, maybe I'm just a horrible person. Like,
apparently.
like it's not that it was bad. I was just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like,
And I can see
okay,
that.
yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it makes sense too, especially if like what you really cared about was like Alex and Henry the whole time.
Yes.
Then like when it gets to the end, you're like, okay, well, like, yeah, I know they're good.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, and since we're talking about the ending, here's the banner for it. Yeah, I think that in the way that the book was structured, the ending needed to be like that too. Like obviously Kendra's right in the way that like everything tied up and everything went together, and then it was this sort of like, by the way, she wins the election, like everyone's really happy. But I think that it needed to end that way for like the statement of the book and like what it's been trying to say this whole time, to like be like, oh yeah, girl president again, second term in Texas, and like the swing vote was Texas.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, that felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked how at the end, like they went back to like his house in Texas, because like his Alex's identity is very much like based on like, you know, being Texan and like being Mexican and all that, and like him being accepted by his people meant so much. He was like, all right, I can live here because they accept me for who I am, and I want you to come here sometimes with me. And I was like, yes, this is cute, and I love it.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
They were
That's
so
the thing
cute.
about like contemporary endings, is that usually they're not like a deep discussion. Usually it's like, you know, contemporary
Unless it's
can really
and you like cry your eyes out.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so what did everyone rate this book? I rated it 5 on Goodreads, but in my brain it is 4.5. And then it's like what I described earlier. Like there was one thing that might have been missing. Actually, I think the thing that might have been missing too, and this is because I was going through other people's reviews and other people's opinions, is that it should have been first person, like the third person, but then also only being in Alex's brain kind of felt a little weird. So that was like the only critique I had. So 4.5.
I rated it 4 stars flat because I really enjoyed it and it was fun while it lasted. But like I said, if it's very forgettable, I like struggle to give it 5 stars because I was enjoying it the whole time. Like I was in it. I was like, yes, my emotions. Like I started reading more adult contemporaries after that. But at the end of the day, like it's not like the end all be all of like romance.
That didn't change your life.
Yeah, it definitely didn't.
I rated it 4 stars. I really liked it. Like a lot of it I just really, really liked. And it was such a different read to what like I normally it was very refreshing and very like cute, and I enjoyed a lot of it. I think like the main reason I docked a star was just because like I felt like it could have been shortened like by 100 pages and still had the same impact. That's not to say that like it needed to have been like I just felt like, oh, if it was 100 pages shorter, I probably still would have liked it just as much. And then I kind of just would much like I really, really liked both main characters, both Alex and Henry, but I would have loved to have been in Henry's mind for most or 50% of it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he has like his story was much deeper in a sense. Like he went through a lot, and it would have been just so interesting to have had his point of view. So like the reason I rated it 4 stars wasn't it because I don't think it was like a perfect book. I just think it's the way like I personally connected with it. It just wasn't a 5-star like connection. I don't know.
That's I totally get that.
I rated it 5 stars because I give things 5 stars pretty easily because I'm Katie's book nut. And my review is heart eyes forever with all these exclamation points. I love this book so freaking much. This is all in caps. Then Henry and Alex forever, all these exclamation points. And then at the end I said, also this book was hilarious, and every time I read it I had the biggest smile on my face. And that was my review.
That's so wholesome.
I mean, it's true, right?
Yeah. It was just really good. It was perfect to read on vacation too. Like I think, especially like being on the beach somewhere, like you don't want anything that's like too dramatic. So it was just really like juicy, kept me like engaged the whole time, and I just thought it was hilarious. So, like I sped through it because I was relaxing, chilling, reading the book.
I love that. I can like picture it too. Drink in one hand, book in the other. Like I'm laying on
basically. Yeah, that's how it went.
Oh, I just realized I'm so young compared to all of you. I can't even drink.
Oh yeah, you guys are in the States though. Yeah. If you were in Canada, you'd be able to drink. So
yeah, when I was on vacation, I think the drinking age was younger. I don't really know what the drinking age is in Punta Cana, but I'm sure it's not that old.
Yeah, it's got to be like 18.
Was anyone else surprised that it was voted the like most hyped book of the year?
Yeah.
Jones is gonna win.
Let's talk about that because I like when people were even like giving out suggestions of like most hyped book of the year. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. And then when it won the poll, I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this one.
That's how I feel too. I was like, yeah, I heard so much about it like over the summer, and then like for the last 2 months, I know everyone likes it, but for the last 2 months, no one's talked about it.
Yeah.
Like maybe even 3 months. So I was just kind of shocked, but yeah.
I feel like if anything, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I feel like if anything, Daisy Jones should have won, even though like I wasn't that excited about reading it. But it's like people are still talking about it to this day, like nonstop. Yeah. And like with Red Wine and Royal Blue, I would hear like a couple friends be like, "Oh, like you should read this book." But like it's not like literally like every day that I scroll through Twitter, there's something about Daisy Jones.
Yeah, because they're making the new show about it too, and like more things just got announced, and the actors just got announced. So I was like, cool, it's fresh in everyone's mind. It's guaranteed that we're reading it.
They announced the actors for Daisy Jones and the Six.
Yeah, I think they announced the main actress, anyways.
Oh my god, I didn't know.
Camila something.
Oh. Okay.
Are you disappointed?
Wait. Hold on, wait. Oh, just Daisy? Did you guys read Daisy Jones and the Six?
No.
I did not.
I was gonna audiobook it if it got chosen.
Audio is the way to go for it because it sounds like you're listening to a podcast. Yeah.
Like I'm sure I would enjoy it. Especially more so if it was audiobook, but
I think you'd like it.
Yeah, because I read the book physically, and now I want to I loved it so much that like I would go back and listen to it audiobook wise because I'm like that's kind of the experience it was maybe intended for even.
Yeah, because it's written in that like interview format. Also, I just
Yeah.
thought of a random thing that was like a controversy surrounding Red, White, and Royal Blue. Controversy. I say that. Oh, hold on a second. Oh. I have to take my dinner out of the oven.
To read Daisy Jones. Okay.
Wait, what?
I said after this, you guys both need to read Daisy Jones.
I know. Been on my TV for forever, but
oh yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so anyways, the controversy around this book was that like people were talking about like the smut level in it, or like of whether or not I guess it was like appropriate for like readers, if it was like too much or not enough. Like I thought it was fine, like for the level of book. Like I didn't think it was
lacking.
Yeah.
I was like, this is more than that.
Yeah. I was like, I've definitely read things that are raunchier than this. So like I don't know, I didn't see it, but I guess maybe some people were like, if they aren't romance readers and like saw it being hyped up so much on YA book Twitter, like weren't
but
expecting
it's not YA
it.
though, right?
But it's not YA, no, but it just has a lot of appeal to like, because think about like most of the people on BookTube that are like making videos and voicing the community are like in their 20s or about or so. So it's like definitely crossover between the age groups.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess maybe some people were like surprised when there was like romance scenes in the romance book if they like were used to YA level romance. Although YA level romance is getting a little steamier nowadays
Sarah
too.
J. Maas is upping that.
Yeah. The Lord's work with that.
Yes, she is.
Do you guys see that they have
the arcs?
Yes, I know.
Like 800 and some odd pages.
Perfect.
Oh my God.
Yes, like it's so big.
She loves writing meaty books, though.
Yeah, she does. Yes, she
I'm
does.
excited. But it's coming out the same day as Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare.
Oh, I don't care.
I know, I haven't read any of the Cassandra Clare books.
I love I know, it's going to be like the divide of like who's on Team Sarah J. Maas, who's on Team Cassandra Clare, and like who reads what. Although I like both of them, so I'm obviously going to read both. But
I know. I don't know what I'd read first. I think I'd read Sarah J. Maas first. I think I love her more than I've been disappointed by Cassandra Clare a few too many times.
Oh,
wait. So what day? When is that?
March 3rd.
Oh, March 3rd. I'm sure that'll be
far
our book for March. Let's be honest. So.
If I like
bookmark it.
Yeah. March 3rd is BookTube day. Like
I like think I saw arcs and like maybe I'll just shoot my shot and request an arc, even though like the chances are so low. Like who knows? And then I could
you shoot your shot.
Yeah,
you do it.
We'll see. But yeah,
did we even say was it worth the hype?
Oh,
yeah. Did we stop before that?
I would recommend it to a friend. Would I say it's the most hype book of the year? No, but I would recommend it and I like it. So like,
yeah, I feel like this is like another level of like hyped because we are like this is like supposed to be the most hyped book of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the most hyped book. I think it's a good book, but I don't think it's gonna like make my top 10 books list or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I read some crap books this year, so it might.
I feel like it doesn't represent 2019. Like that's not the 2019 book.
Yeah.
In my eyes. Dark Dawn.
Wow.
Dark Dawn. I really liked it. Yeah, but I agree with you guys. I just don't think it was like, I mean, if this is the most hyped book of the year, I definitely have to disagree. I think it's a book that like anyone can read and enjoy. So I think it has that going for it. Like it's entertaining for everyone and it makes you laugh, makes you blush, makes you smile. But I just definitely don't I don't think it hits that crazy hype. Like I don't think it's that same level.
Yeah, it was not my book of the year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, our next live show will then be at some point in January. The book hasn't been decided yet. We're still deep diving. If you guys have any suggestions for books that will be hyped in January, then we would love to obviously hear it.
Yes.
In the
tweet
comments
us.
below. Yeah. And then keep an eye out for a poll that will be posted on the Overhyped Book Twitter that will then determine what the live show will be for. Well,
Thanks for
bye.
watching.
Bye, guys.
Happy New Year.
Yes.